Good old Ratchet and Clank, a game about two friends saving the galaxy with over-the-top and completely silly weapons, like the Sheepinator, where we can turn enemies into sheep. The bond between Ratchet and Clank is truly deep, and a lot of the game mechanics revolve around Clank as well. For example, he is how we use long jumps, we glide with him, hover, he's essentially a jetpack for us. But what if they had a falling out? What if Clank no longer helps Ratchet? Can we beat Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart without using Clank? Well, before we find out, we need to set some rules. Rule 1. Clank cannot be used under any circumstances to aid Ratchet. This means no backpack abilities or anything like that can be used. When used in cutscenes though, this does not count as a rule fail, as I have no control over the character at that time. Rule 2. We're going to try this with no glitches. So, no infinite jumps, and yes, it's absolutely because I just simply can't do them. Rule number 3. This challenge is considered failed the moment we absolutely need Clank to progress the story further. And of course, Kit also counts as Clank for this run. And the last rule, you should all check out my Ko-fi page, get your early access to videos, free Wheel of Pain spins, and merch discounts. By becoming a supporter of the channel, we're well on our way now to finishing our goal to hire an editor, which means more videos for you. This can be lore videos, top 5s, new and revamped guides, and so on. Plus, I suppose our editor gets to eat then, but that's secondary, right? And if everybody watching right now pledges just $1 a month, not only will we hit our first goal of hiring an editor, we'll fly through pretty much all of our goals. If you want to see what those are, check out the road plan on Ko-fi, link down below in the description. And now let's start, shall we? And hey, there's a parade honoring me. Honestly, all games should start like this, by praising me. This is basically the game's tutorial, so we learn to smash things, shoot things, get blown up, you know, the basic tutorial stuff really. There is also a gliding tutorial, which of course we can't do. So we run and jump at the end of the ledge, and then when we're about halfway down, I double jump to get a little more height and distance, which allows me to grab on the end of the ledge. First problem is now moved past, so now we simply carry on. Nefarious shows up and has a real IKEA moment when he tries to steal and use the Dimensionator. So we go skiing along some wires, buy a shotgun, shoot a few people, and then I realize the PC version lets you start with the Pixelator. So I shoot a few things with that, which clearly turns them into some R18 mess. Or a Japanese hentai. I don't know, probably one of them. Then we have a sad dinosaur falling to his death. Japanese hentai 2.0 with some very grabby tentacles. And then the boss Nefarious. Take him out with some blaster rounds, shotgun the little mobs that spawn in, and then casually watch the very fabric of the universe get ripped to shreds. Man, I love how crazy these games are. Fast forward and we're in Neon City with no Clank. Perfect. Then we find out he's been kidnapped. Guess we should at least rescue him, at least right after we get funky in a club and grab our bling bling gold bolt. Then we get the ability to phantom dash, another little mechanic which, along with the hover boots, will help completely remove our dependency on any little robot friend. So do some rooftop parkour, and then we get the ability to upgrade our weapons with raritanium. I focus the blaster because it's what I do in every Ratchet and Clank game, probably not the smartest choice, but hey, it's fun. And right in time for our little war with an army of robots. Look, I know everybody in this city is robots, and we're kind of killing the whole population, but we're the good guy here, I swear. They just looked at me funny, that's all. But we grab a spybot, buy the Negatron Collider, upgrade all our weapons, and then go fight a boss. I just use my lower level weapons first to try and level them up a little. My blaster is now level 5, so we're only going to use that when we're out of ammo on everything else. We enjoyed the ever so cute glitch, just look at it. I might not like spiders, but this one is okay with me. Then Nefarious really should have shh when told, because he takes a wrench square to the head. I do like his ship password though.
Why do I need a password? I'm the Emperor. How about I obliterate you instead? Ha 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 ha.
And with that, we're done on the first main location. Now we move on to Sargasso, home of the ancient dinosaurs and construction Furbies. Look, they totally look like Furbies, let's be honest. A very straightforward level, really. We kill a few bugs, ride an alien beetle over an acid swamp, save the Furbies, and then enter a dimensional tear where Clank meets, well, kind of God. But now we have a problem. To advance, we have to complete puzzles with Clank. And of course, we're not allowed to do anything with Clank. So how exactly are we going to get around this? Simple. Open up the pause menu and skip the puzzle. Hey, technically, we don't do anything with Clank, so I'm allowing it. Heck, even Clank doesn't know how we did that. So, kill a dinosaur by shooting him in the bum with a giant laser, get some more bling, and then in River Tideout we head into the dimensional anomaly to grab another armor piece. But also, the exploding crates here infinitely respawn, and when they are destroyed, drop some bolts for us. So, we shoot around the arena, blowing them up and farm a few bolts. Only 2,000 or so, because any more than that would take too long and require too much attention. Clank gets kidnapped again, so we ride a beetle and chase them down, crash into them a few times and shoot a giant centipede in the face with a laser to save our little damsel in distress. Now it's time for Xerxes, where we find a drunk sheep. Look, even sheep have problems which they need to drink for, okay? This is also the battle arena where we have to fight waves of enemies, bosses, and have obstacle courses like beetle running. So we complete them, get the signal booster for Clank so he can contact Ratchet, and then a plan is made to build a new Dimensionator. What could possibly go wrong with that idea? But we'll leave the story alone for a little bit and go back to Sargasso now to do some side stuff and get a rhino blueprint by feeding a dragon thing because it was up late partying. And by the way, that's what's actually said in the game. So run around, collect all the Zerp stones, find out that the dragon is pregnant, and then off we go to Blitzar Prime, or at least what remains of it. Here we have to use the crystals to swap between dimensions of the destroyed Blitzar and the normal one to progress through the world, and of course do the side quest to rescue the chief as well, by which I mean help her suffer by us killing a bunch of monsters. For our reward, we get a Rhino Spybot. And of course, on the way here, I grabbed the gold bolt as well. We're aiming for them all, which I definitely do not think is possible without Clank, but we'll try. Just a shame poor Jim was still unable to make friends. It's okay, Jim. We'll have a friend soon. I hope. So, we get rushed by a bunch of mobs and a giant killbot and move on to a dimension-hopping rail slide. And skipping the Clank puzzle. Fight a small army and nearly blow up the planet. Just another day's work. You know, the usual. So, Savali is next. And while Ratchet doesn't have Clank, we do find KT. Essentially, this dimension's version of Clank. Therefore, banned by our rules. Just because alternate dimensional beings are the same to me. So we run around blowing off robots, saving some monks, going zoom zoom with my new hover boots, which is going to massively speed things up for me now, and then we have a glitch puzzle, which I decide to skip just to save some time, and then getting to the archives to learn how to build a Dimensionator. But before that, we of course have to fight another small war. We do, however, also see Kit become a giant walking battle tank, and I kinda wish we could control that, like the Rhino in Ratchet and Clank Force. Man, I miss that game. Anywho, swap back to Rivet, get another Spybot, so we're 4 out of 10 now. I can already taste that sweet, sweet Rhino power. Advance on to the grind rail of fun and absolute no health and safety regulations. And it's time to fight some pirates because we needed a new enemy type, I guess. All the way until we fight little old wee Roger. I'm still using my non-level 5 weapons to level up, as if I remember rightly, later bosses, most notably the final boss, is a real HP sponge, so I want as much firepower for later as possible. I might not even be able to make it, but worth doing just in case. Afterwards, we get to the Fixer. He murders the pirates and then tries to fix me. So we do what we do best. We go grinding some rails like the badasses we are. Who cares if there's a giant robot shooting an eye laser at me? We eventually get him to stop trying to murder me, although I do wonder just how much strength Rivet actually has. And then it's off to Cordalion after he fixes my crystal. Such a beautiful looking planet, and we have the dimension hopping here again, where the reverse is a totally destroyed research lab that absolutely gives me alien vibes. At least we only have to deal with slime monsters, and eventually meet Junkbot. He's a little crazy, don't mind him, but I jinx myself because now there is a murderous alien on the loose. And I agree, Junkbot, my friends try to kill me too. I think it's pretty normal. But on our mission to redecorate the place, we kinda blow the forge up by not pressing the button with a skull on it. I know, crazy, right? Then we play a game of chicken with the alien monster trying to devour us, then take a nice relaxing swim with who knows what in the ocean. Of course, grabbing the nicely hidden gold bolt here as well. Eventually, we find a second Juice who we save and become friends with. Go back to the destroyed dimension and I mean, look, I know loving yourself is a good thing, but I really don't think you should love yourself this much, Juice. But at least he's not trying to eat me anymore, and he powers the forge, so now we have a Dimensionator. Now we can go back to the bar and enjoy a nice cold beer. Oh, and we buy a rocket launcher because, as my good friend Mr. Talk says, explosions! The Lombaxes meet and the plan to fix everything is now well underway. At least until we realize it's a trap, and now we fight Dr. Nefarious. The original one, not this dimension's Emperor. And I did hard in this fight. I was constantly missing my rockets, getting hit really stupidly, and even nearly game overed in phase 2. That would have been embarrassing for sure. But we defeat him, and then the Emperor shows up, beats me black and blue, and steals the Dimensionator. Honestly, with how many times this thing has been stolen and used against me, it should have just been destroyed like 4 games ago. Before we go to our Dolis though, it's time to get some resources by doing the arena stages. This way, we can get bolts and EXP for our health and weapons, and extra abilities like the Box Breaker. Now, whenever we slam the ground, all nearby boxes will automatically break. Next up is the pirate homeworld, Ardolis, where our lovable Pierre is about to be murdered by his own kind. You know, typical pirate stuff really. Although there is a bonus here, a cute robot pooch with a key. He's clearly smarter than pirates though. I wouldn't fall for a bone either. I demand at least 2 before I go anywhere near somebody that ugly. So we seal up the tentacle, and honestly, if Pierre had blushes, I'd be really worried about what game we're actually playing right now. And then it's time for some trials, which kind of doesn't involve much other than some terrible singing really. Eventually we meet Quantum, who is still alive and apparently in charge of the pirates. At least until he shows his inner Quark anyway. We take a nice relaxing boat ride, feed our little friend Bubbles, and then Nefarious shows up and murders Quantum. Well, he sucks him into another dimension anyway, so same thing, right? Well, now we're done here, but we're not leaving just yet. We go and do the side quest on this planet for the Map-O-Matic, a unique piece of equipment which puts all collectibles on my map. So we go get the rest of the gold bolts, spy bots, and armor pieces on this planet, using some very nice little timed jumps to collect everything without the need to go and grab a speedle to do it slowly. Then we go and grab the collectibles on all other worlds as well. We can't get the last items at Xerxes just yet though, as the final cup isn't unlocked. But I did manage to kill myself in a very dumb manner, so please feel free to laugh at my fail. Savali takes ages to do as well, just because of the size of it. We also can't get the final gold bolt here just yet. Once we go back to Sargasso, we get my favorite weapon. Well, other than the Rhino, anyway. A minigun. So we casually proceed through the stage, pretty much not letting go of R2. You know, casual Rambo stuff really. And then as we're having fun blowing everything up, it's time for a puzzle with Kit. The problem? The game crashes for me. Once we get back in, we pretend the minigame doesn't exist with that lovely skip button. No controlling the robots after all. Then it's dragon riding time. Because of course, a dragon, lizard, alien thingy can beat giant warships. After that, we learn a secret about Kit and Rivet's past and move on to the next planet. Back to Savali. We're a little late though, and the archives are destroyed. Also, I experienced another glitch. We completely skipped a cutscene and couldn't progress, so I had to reload at the last checkpoint. And then we start fighting robot zombie skeleton things because this game has everything, baby. Then we swap over to Rivet, who is in the Emperor's ship, and let's not talk about my death here, okay? We can pretend it didn't happen. We eventually swap back to Ratchet and quite literally have a never-ending spawn of mobs here while activating a few switches to destroy a huge chunk of the area. Not sure who's done more damage here, me or Nefarious. We also grab the final gold bolt for Savali here as well, casually fight a zombie skeleton dinosaur, skip a Clank puzzle, and Ratchet gets sent to prison for all those boxes he's broke. Rivet also learns the truth about Kit here as well, but I guess now I should break everybody out of prison. Of course, on the way, murder anything that doesn't breathe, and grab the gold bolt and spybot. Just one more to go now till we get the rhino. And does anybody know why a sheep would be in the most secure prison in the galaxy? I'm legit curious what crimes he could commit. As we continue on and get the rest of the armors and gold bolts, Rivet actually gets high on laughing gas, a pretty funny little section, and I laugh in the game's face when it wants me to use the swing shot when I can just jump the gap. Extra style points, right? And then we murder yet another army. Seriously, I dread to imagine just how much damage we've caused to the Emperor's bank balance now. I mean, I know he kind of owns the whole galaxy in this dimension, but where is he getting all the resources from to build these damn things? And Rivet channels her inner Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank 1, where there's a little bit of an attitude and uncaring nature going on. So we ditch Kit and leave her stranded in the world's most secure prison with a bunch of enemy soldiers. Revenge achieved. And now it's finally back to Xerxes, where we can complete the final arena challenges. So all that's left now is to get the final spy bot. Go make the awesome rhino to summon explosions from another dimension because reasons. Complete the final arena battle for the final armor piece, and boom, we have 100% completion now. All that's left to do is power level the remaining weapons to level 5 and max out the abilities at the shop for them, and then defeat the final boss. All without using Clank. Which, to be honest, going into this challenge, I thought this would be harder as I couldn't actually remember just how unimportant Clank is in this game. And that makes me kinda sad. He was entirely replaced with a pair of hover boots. But I guess we might as well go ahead and finish the run off by defeating the final boss with our very much so ragtag crew of pirates, rebels, and God forbid, Quark. What can be worse than two of them? Well, we make our way downtown, fighting another army of robots, before we take turns with Rivet and Ratchet fighting a giant Nefarious. And we beat him by shooting giant TV screens. Why he has them on his hands, I'll never know. Once we do 2 stages of this, we end up inside of him where we take out his heart. Why does a robot need a heart? I seriously don't get this. And then finally, the showdown with Nefarious himself, who, once we manage to beat, the challenge fails, because in order to complete the game, we have to interact with Kit, and have her throw us to the boss. Surprise ending! I know some people would say, what about the puzzles? Technically, we skipped them and didn't have to use Clank or Kit at all for them. But this last interaction, on the other hand, is completely forced and must be done. It's kind of weird to think we can defeat the final boss, but then fail the challenge after it. But it is what it is, I guess. And now we just wait forever for the next Ratchet and Clank game. But now I have a question for you. What video is coming next week? Until then though, everybody, I'll catch you later.